My name is Sophie, and my life was built around one word: perfect. My mom was in the military, so disciplined that sometimes I wondered if she'd been born already, wearing a uniform. Every hair in place, every rule followed. When my ballet bun was even slightly crooked, she'd sigh and say, "A ballerina needs proper hair, Sophie. Perfection matters." Perfection wasn't a goal in our house, it was a requirement. If I brought home an A, Mom asked why it wasn't an A+. When I won silver in a regional dance competition, she reminded me that gold was better. My little sister Rose had thousands of followers online, but even that wasn't enough. Mom said her content had to be purposeful, something that would look good on college applications one day. The only person who balanced her out was Dad. He brought laughter into our home. He told wild stories about his combat missions, taught us survival skills, just in case, and snuck us junk food when Mom wasn't looking. With him around, life felt lighter. Then he was deployed again. And this time, he never came back. After that, I became what my mom needed me to be. The perfect daughter, straight A's, flawless pirouettes, student council president. I made sure Rose did her homework, kept her room clean, and stayed out of trouble. Our house ran like a military operation, and I was second in command. I thought if I stayed perfect enough, nothing else would fall apart. I was wrong. One morning, while helping Rose edit a YouTube video, Mom walked into the room looking terrified. And my mother never looked scared. That was the moment everything changed. Mom stood there for a moment, like she was choosing her words carefully. "Girls, you need to pack a bag," she finally said. "You're going to stay with your Aunt Catherine for a while." I stared at her. "Aunt? We didn't have an aunt." "Your sister," Mom added. "She lives in Arizona." Arizona. The name sounded unreal, like something from a map I'd never planned to visit. "I can't leave," I said immediately. "I have summer intensives, college prep, the youth leadership program." "This isn't a discussion, Sophie," she cut in. Her voice was calm, but her eyes weren't. "I'm being deployed on an emergency medical mission. Something's come up." Something always came up with Mom, but this felt different. "What's really going on?" I asked. She looked at me for a long second, like she was measuring how much truth I could handle. "Sometimes," she said slowly, "doing the right thing means breaking the rules. Your father understood that. Now I need you to understand it too." Then she pulled me into a tight hug. "Trust no one," she whispered, "and keep your sister safe." 24 hours later, Rose and I were sitting in the back of a black SUV with tinted windows, speeding through the Arizona desert. One of Mom's old friends was driving. He didn't talk much. Rose, of course, was live streaming the cacti. "Guys, I've officially been exiled," she told her followers. "Desert vibes only." I tried not to throw up. I kept checking Mom's last known location on my phone. No updates, no messages, nothing. Then Rose gasped. "Oh my God, Sophie, is that a lion?" I looked up. There, stretched across the front porch of what looked like a junkyard crossed with a fortress, was a full-grown male lion, basking in the sun like he owned the place. My heart stopped. Whatever Mom had sent us into, it was nothing like our old life. The driver slammed on the brakes, and our suitcases went sliding across the back seat. "This has to be a mistake," I whispered. "Mom would never." "Oh, that's just Maple," a voice said casually from behind us. "Don't mind him, he's a big softie." I turned to see a woman limping down the dusty path, wearing ripped jeans, a faded tank top, and a crooked grin. She looked like Mom might have, if Mom had been raised by wolves. "I'm your Aunt Caddy," she said, "in case you were wondering." I blinked. "That's a lion." "Yes," she nodded. "And? Is that even allowed?" She laughed. "Are you a stickler for rules and regulations?" Rules and regulations, keeping people safe. That's what Mom always said. Aunt Caddy whistled, and the lion lifted his massive head before lazily following her toward the yard. "Come on, girls," she said. "Let's get you settled. We've got work to do." Work. Week 1 was chaos. No ballet studio, no proper Wi-Fi, just dust, heat, roaring lions, and an aunt who seemed determined to destroy everything I thought was normal. "Sophie, the cubs need feeding," she'd call out. "I'm practicing," I'd protest. "Life doesn't wait for perfect timing, kiddo," she'd reply. "Sometimes you dance with the lions you've got." She was insane. Completely. Who lets teenagers near lions? Who builds a fortress in the desert? Who treats dangerous animals like oversized house cats? Then she dropped another bomb. "Oh, by the way," she said one morning, sipping coffee, "I enrolled you both at Desert Ridge High. You start Monday."
I stared at her. "You can't just do that." She raised an eyebrow. "Watch me." That night, I paced the yard, trying again to reach Mom. Still nothing. 3 weeks of silence. Dad would never have left us like this. Mom wouldn't either, or so I thought. Because somewhere between the dust, the lions, and my aunt's reckless smile, I realized my old life might already be gone. The morning of our first day at Desert Ridge High, I woke up at 5 out of habit. Back home, mornings were about discipline and schedules. Here, the desert was still quiet, the sky painted pink and gold. Aunt Caddy was already awake. She stood over a desk covered in maps, photographs, and handwritten notes. The moment she noticed me, she quickly rolled everything up. "What's all this?" I asked. "Conservation work," she said lightly. "Nothing you need to worry about." She tossed me a set of keys. "There's an old Jeep in the barn. Not pretty, but it runs." I stared at the keys in my hand. "You're trusting me with a car?" "Your mom said you were responsible," she replied. "Besides, we're 20 miles from nowhere." Desert Ridge High looked like it hadn't been updated since the 1970s. The second Rose and I walked in, conversations stopped. Eyes followed us down the hallway. At our old school, we'd been known, respected, perfect. Here, we were strangers. "You must be the new girls," a boy said, grinning. "The ones living with the crazy cat lady." "I think you mean eccentric," I said coolly. He laughed. "I'm Rolo. My dad's the local vet. He helps your aunt sometimes. What she does is actually amazing." Rose leaned toward me. "What's a vlog?" she whispered, staring at his camera. By lunchtime, everyone knew us as the Lion Girls. For a moment, I almost felt special. Then, a girl with expensive highlights stopped at our table. "I'm Kylie Montgomery," she said. "My dad's on the town council." Her smile was sharp. "He says your aunt's sanctuary is a dangerous eyesore that's about to be shut down." She turned to leave, then paused. "Don't get too comfortable," she added. "My dad always gets what he wants." And just like that, I felt it. This wasn't just a new school. It was a battlefield. Back at the sanctuary, the desert felt louder than the school hallways ever had. The wind carried sand and distant roars, reminding me that this place didn't care who I used to be. I found Rose sitting on the porch steps, her phone resting in her lap. For once, she wasn't filming. "Do you think we'll ever go back?" she asked quietly. "Back to our real life?" I sat beside her. "I don't know. Mom's gone completely silent. It's like we fell into another universe." She nodded. "One where Mom has a secret sister who lives with lions, and we're the Lion Girls," I added. She hesitated. "Is it bad that I kind of like it here?" That surprised me. "The school is awful," she said, "but the lions, they're real. They don't pretend. They don't care about filters." I'd noticed the change too. Her posts weren't about makeup anymore. They were about cub feedings, rescues, and long desert nights. Her followers weren't just watching, they were learning. That night, I tried calling Mom again, straight to voicemail. 3 weeks. Dad would never have disappeared like this. The days blurred together. feeding schedules, fixing fences, learning which lions wanted distance and which demanded attention. Then, Aunt Caddy got sick. At first, she brushed it off, just a fever. By the third day, she couldn't stand. "You need a doctor," I told her. "No hospitals," she snapped. "Too many questions." She shoved a worn notebook into my hands. "Everything you need is in here." "I can't run this place," I said, my voice shaking. She met my eyes. "You're a chin, you adapt." And just like that, the sanctuary became my responsibility. I was terrified, but somewhere between fear and duty, I started to hear the rhythm inside the chaos. At first, I panicked. Every sound, every roar, every movement of the lions felt like a warning. What if I made a mistake? What if someone got hurt? What if Rose, my little sister, wasn't safe under my watch? But slowly, I began to notice patterns. Maple, the big male lion, would pace sharply when his water trough was empty. Shadow, the lioness, let out low, throaty rumbles when her cubs wandered too far. Sage, the quiet one, always seemed to sense storms before the clouds appeared. I started listening instead of just reacting, learning their rhythms, watching them, understanding them. It was like a dance, chaotic, wild, and beautiful. And somehow, I began to find my own rhythm inside it. Then one night, I saw something that shook me to my core. One of the lionesses was giving birth. The tiny cub, no bigger than my hand, nuzzled its mother, helpless and fragile. I couldn't hold back the tears. I hadn't cried like this in years, not in front of anyone, not even in private. It was raw, it was real, and it reminded me why we were here. When Aunt Chatty finally stumbled out of bed a week later, she grinned at me, dirt and lion hair covering my clothes. "Well, look at that," she said, laughing. "Turns out you can dance with the lions after all." I had grown closer to all the lions, except Wishbone. He was different, scarred, wary, and distant. I could see the stories etched into his face, tales of pain and survival. He didn't trust easily, but sometimes, late at night, I'd catch him watching me. His eyes held knowledge and something like patience. He was a fighter, and I had a feeling our paths were going to cross in ways I wasn't ready for. Then things got serious. One night I heard voices outside Aunt Caddy's office, low, urgent whispers. I crept to the hallway, pressing my ear against the door. "Angela, it's been 3 weeks," one voice said. "The girls need to know what's going on," another replied. My stomach sank. Mom had been in contact with Aunt Caddy all along, but ignoring me like I was some annoying fly. Back at school, Rose's life was changing too. Her videos about sanctuary life started gaining traction. People were noticing the cubs, the rescues, the way the lions thrived under Aunt Caddy's care. Even Kylie Montgomery seemed to glare more whenever Rose walked by. "Your sister's videos are actually making a difference," Rollo said one afternoon. "The donations to the sanctuary this month are higher than the last year combined." "Yeah, I heard," I admitted, glancing at Rose, who was already filming a new clip of the cubs playing. Then she looked up at me. "There's a bonfire Friday night. You and me?" I hesitated. Sure?" Before I could finish, Rose grinned. "Already said yes, and I'm bringing awesome footage of baby lion playtime. You know everyone will watch." Friday night arrived. The bonfire was at an abandoned quarry outside town. While everyone danced, sang, and roasted marshmallows, I hung back, feeling disconnected. Then Rollo appeared at my side. "You look like you're planning an escape route." "That obvious, huh?" I said. He shrugged. "It's okay to not be okay. Moving across the country, living with a lion lady you didn't know existed, and trying to survive, that's a lot." I laughed, almost despite myself. "When you put it that way, I sound pretty well adjusted." For the first time in weeks, I felt a tiny flicker of relief before Kylie Montgomery's sharp voice cut through the firelights. Don't get too comfortable, she sneered. My dad says your crazy cat lady aunt is finished. Finished. The word hit me like a punch. Back at the sanctuary, the night air felt heavier. I could still hear the laughter from the bonfire, but out here, everything felt sharp, tense, like the desert itself was holding its breath. Aunt Caddy was already at her desk, rifling through documents. Montgomery filed a complaint with the county, she said without looking up. Claims I'm operating an illegal exotic animal exhibit without proper licensing. I froze. That's ridiculous. It's a sanctuary. Legally, it's complicated, she admitted. Montgomery has friends in high places, the same high places Mom is investigating. I felt my stomach twist. What aren't you telling me? She pulled out a worn photo album. Pictures I'd never seen before stared back at me. Mom and Aunt Caddy in jungle gear, receiving awards, surrounded by wildlife. Your mother and I were wildlife biologists, she explained. We specialized in tracking animal trafficking networks, people who smuggle endangered species. We were good, too good. Mom wanted to go public. I wanted to gather more evidence first. We fought. She left, joined the military to change it from within, had you girls, and kept her cover. That was her choice, security over crusade. I swallowed hard. So she's undercover? Aunt Caddy nodded. And now she's found proof the network is bigger than before. She's gone deep. You girls, your leverage. If the wrong people knew where you were, they could use you to get to her. It made my head spin. Everything I knew about Mom, Dad, our perfect life, it was all a cover. Then a sudden roar split the night. I rushed outside. Lights flashed in the yard. Shadows moved fast. Men with cages were corralling the cubs, tossing them into trucks. "Rose!" I screamed. She'd stepped out, filming, too close. One of the men grabbed her. She fought, screamed. My heart stopped. I ran, but before I could reach her, Wishbone emerged from the darkness, low growl vibrating through the air. I froze. That look in his eyes? Mom had meant what she said about breaking rules. I climbed into his back. We were going after the truck. Wishbone's powerful stride ate up the miles faster than I could have imagined. My hands gripped his mane as we thundered through the desert, my heart pounding in time with every beat of his massive paws hitting the ground. Dust and sand whipped into my face, but I didn't care. Rose was out there, and I had to reach her. We followed the truck's trail straight into Phoenix. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Streets filled with cars honking, people screaming, and there I was, a teenage girl riding a lion through downtown. Sky 5, breaking news, a voice crackled on a passing car radio. Reports of a lion sprinting down Central Avenue with a girl on its back. Police stay clear. I didn't slow down. Rose was inside that truck, along with the cubs, and Wishbone understood. His growl rumbled like thunder, and every step felt like a promise. We reached an industrial warehouse near a private airstrip. A jet sat waiting, engines humming, ready to take off. The cargo doors were open, crates stacked and waiting. There she was, my sister, trapped inside one of the cages, her small hands pressed against the bars, eyes wide with fear. "Hold on, Rose," I shouted. Wishbone skidded to a stop behind a stack of crates, low and menacing. I slid off, holding him steady. "Wait here," I whispered. Then I crept forward, heart in my throat. Inside, the men were distracted, moving between crates and handling the cubs. I managed to unlock Rose's cage silently. "Finally," she gasped. Before we could escape, one of the traffickers spotted us. "Get her!" he shouted. I froze, but from the shadows, Wishbone leapt forward, teeth bared, roar shaking the warehouse walls. Chaos erupted. Men stumbled, crates toppled, and the lions, every single one, surged from the shadows. By the time police sirens wailed in the distance, the traffickers were running, caged cubs freed, and the sanctuary's pride stood victorious. I hugged Rose tight. "We did it," I whispered. Wishbone let out a final roar, like a king reclaiming his throne. A few hours later, we were back at the sanctuary, dusty, exhausted, but alive. Aunt Caddy was sitting at her desk, rubbing her temples, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Then I saw her. Mom. She stepped into the room, calm but intense, and pulled us both into a fierce hug. I clung to her, Rose pressed against my side, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a strange kind of relief. "I knew they'd make a move tonight," Mom said softly, holding me at arm's length. "I had to be here to catch them in the act." Tears blurred my vision. "Mom, we thought—" "I know," she interrupted gently, "but sometimes the only way forward is to take a risk. Your father taught me that. And you girls, you proved it tonight." Aunt Caddy leaned against the doorframe, smiling. "Turns out my lion girls aren't just city kids anymore." We spent the next few days helping make the sanctuary official. Mom and Aunt Caddy worked with local authorities, ensuring every permit, license, and legal hurdle was cleared. The lions, meanwhile, were moved to safe reserves in Africa. Saying goodbye to Wishbone hurt more than I expected, but seeing him finally free, roaming the tall grass, made it worth it. Rose turned her social media accounts into something bigger than herself, raising awareness for conservation, posting behind-the-scenes footage, and documenting every rescue. Her followers weren't just numbers anymore, they were allies. And me, I realized something important. I had spent my life chasing perfection, trying to control every moment. But here, in chaos and danger, I learned to adapt, to trust, to lead, to feel. Sophie Chen, perfect student, perfect daughter, was gone. In her place stood a girl who could dance with lions, face fear, and protect the people she loved. And somehow, that felt better than perfect. The days after the rescue felt surreal. The desert was quieter now, the lions gone, but their presence lingered in every footprint, every roar I could still hear in my memory. Rose and I settled into a new rhythm. The sanctuary was official, Mom was back in action, and Aunt Caddy was, well, still chaos personified, but somehow it felt like home. I spent hours reviewing footage of the rescue, the chase through Phoenix, and Wishbone's final roar. I realized I'd never been more alive. I had faced fear head-on, made decisions that could have killed me or my sister, and somehow came out stronger. Mom pulled me aside one evening. "Sophie," she said, "perfection is a mask. Courage, love, and adaptability, that's real strength." I smiled. For the first time, I understood. I didn't need to be perfect anymore. I just needed to be brave. Rose leaned over, showing me her latest video edits. The cubs, the rescues, the sanctuary. It was all out there now, making a difference. I felt proud, not just for her, but for us. And though our old life seemed distant and impossible to return to, I knew this was exactly where we were supposed to be. The world was bigger, louder, and wilder than I ever imagined, and for the first time in my life, I was ready to meet it, messy, chaotic, and imperfect, head-on, because I had learned how to dance with the lions.